Hello everyone, welcome back to True Warriors Never Die PT4 now. Go support the original creator on fanfiction.net, but let's begin. Chapter 4, The Sound of Madness. After being relieved from healing Jidenbu, Orihime was accompanied by Ichigo inside of a nearby house that offered them and the others a place to stay for the night. Upon entering they found Chad and Yuryu already inside, as well as the old man who owned the home and seemed to be the community leader of sorts. Ichigo. Orihime. Chad said plainly in acknowledgement. Hey Chad. Ichigo said in return to his large friend of Mexican descent. Yuryu was sitting along the far wall of the room as they came in, so the only ones left here that need to show up are Yoruchi and that Naruto character. Yuryu adjusted the glasses on his face. I still don't know what to make of him. We don't know the first thing about him, and yet here he is on this endeavor to save Rukia. Ichigo rubbed the back of his head. I don't know what to make of the guy, but he's definitely strong from what we saw the one time, and Yoruchi seems to trust him. Yeah, he's weird, but the rest of us aren't exactly normal either when you think about it. I think we should at least give him a chance. Orihime said, trying to give some kind of support to the least known member of the unit. He's here, which means he's willing to fight just as hard as any of us, and he seems nice enough. I think we should just get to know him. Yuryu nodded, though he still wasn't in unanimous agreement to trust Naruto. I need to keep an eye on this person. We don't even know what his powers are or who he's affiliated with. He doesn't seem to work for Yoruchi or Urahara-san, and he's no Shinigami, of that I'm certain. Yoruchi then walked into house. Ah, everyone's already here. That's good. Naruto followed shortly behind, hugging himself tightly with a pleased grin on his face. Ah, I feel so awesome. Ichigo looked at Naruto, who was happily patting down his own person, as happy as a child with a new toy. What's with him? He asked Yoruchi. Naruto didn't have any weapons on him. Yoruchi admitted to the other as she took a seat in the middle of the room, but somehow, and I have no clue how he did it, he found a blacksmith that was able to design some weapons for him which he just came back from picking up. The others just nodded, not knowing what weapons Naruto had, but Yoruchi did because she had seen them. She also knew how many he truly had on him, both in variety and quantity, and that's what was driving her up the wall. How long was he here for before we showed up? Yoruchi wondered. Yuryu looked at Naruto, who happily took a seat in the middle of the room next to Yoruchi. What kind of weapons do you use, Naruto-san? Naruto looked at Yuryu. Honestly, I don't need a weapon, I haven't for years. My entire body is my weapon. But then I realized that these Shinigami like to use swords, and I don't feel like screwing around with that. He shot his arm out to the side and a small blade emerged from his sleeve into his hand. It was a small black dagger the size of his hand with a handle wrapped in a thin cloth. At the end of the handle there was a small ring. This is a kunai. Ichigo looked at the weapon intently. What can you do with a little thing like that? It didn't look like much. What could it really do against the swords that the Shinigami all ran around with? It looked like it would crack under a decent amount of pressure. Naruto flipped the kunai in his hand to a stabbing grip. It's really an all-purpose weapon. My immediate go-to, my utility blade, the shinobi Swiss Army knife if you will, call it what you want. I can throw it, fight directly with it, or use it to kill you before you even know I'm there. He finished with a dark look that unnerved the teenagers in the room until Naruto started laughing. Oh man, that was good. His face then turned serious again. But seriously, I can kill you with this thing. Orihime moved near him to get a look at his weapon. But that's all that you have? Kurosaki-kun only has his one weapon too, but it's big. Naruto patted Orihime on the head. This is just my most basic weapon. He said, retracting the kunai back into his sleeve. I never said it was my only one. He opened his jacket to reveal a mass of kanji seals written on the inside of his jacket. A quick summon, and in a puff of smoke Naruto was holding a large curved blade by the ring at the end of it. As the others moved to get a closer look, Naruto suddenly folded it open to reveal a wicked windmill-bladed looking weapon. This is another favorite. The Fuma Shuriken. He resealed back into his jacket. Yep, I have a lot of stuff to use. Yoruchi let off a sweat drop as she saw Naruto showing of his wares to the hapless would-be rescuers. I think that's enough, Naruto. You're making the kids nervous. Now everyone come here, I want to discuss our plan for tonight and tomorrow. Naruto gave the black cat a salute and plopped back down on the floor. So tell them the plan. Another gate won't work because I already tried the one on the east side. Your guardian opened the door after you won. I beat up mine so bad that it wasn't even an option. Yoruchi shook her feline head. No. No more gate work. Breaking in like that wasn't a good idea in the first place. Ichigo turned away with an aura of gloom around him. So what about these other gates that Naruto was talking about? Chad suggested. Yuruchi shook her head. No, they are at least 10 days away. Which makes me wonder again just how long he's been here. Oriheim's barrier hitting the tunnel guardian must have seriously disrupted time for him if he started all the way on the east side and still wound up here when we arrived. The others caught on to her thought and looked over at Naruto, who was playing with the mechanism in his jacket sleeve that produced a hidden kunai in his hand. Naruto noticed them looking at him. What? How long have you been here? Oriheim asked for the group. Naruto shrugged. Not that long. In relativity of time towards an immortal, that is. He didn't vocally state that last part, but that's not important. He said loudly, trying to change the subject, Yuruchi, you were talking? Right. Yuruchi picked up right where she left off from. If we tried that we would just be wasting a lot of time that we don't have. But don't worry. If we can't get in using a gate, we'll just have to get in without using a gate. What? Everyone else asked in confusion before Naruto smirked as Yuruchi had told him her plan. I need to find someone. The cat said before turning to the older man in the room, Elder Dano, do you know where I can find Shiba Kukaku? The place used to be around here in the past, but when I went with Naruto earlier I couldn't find it. She admitted as the man pondered. He finally realized who she was referencing. No, can it be that you plan to use that way to get into the Sereitei? What? What way are you guys talking about? Ichigo asked until a sound of trotting footsteps outside started rumbling out. What is that sound? Suddenly the front door was knocked down by a man flying through it. Who the hell is that? Did this guy break in? Yuryu looked over at the door awkwardly. It's a wild pig. A wild pig just ran into here. The man stood up. Man. I got thrown off my boar again. He then gave a gesture of greeting towards the elder. Yo. Long time no see, old man. The person was muscular and tall. He wore a vest, a scarf, a bandana, and a pair of goggles. Naruto took note of the new arrival and gave him a thumbs up. Nice goggles, random guy. The stranger acknowledged Naruto with a thumbs up and a grin of his own. The elder immediately yelled in alarm, Ganju, what are you doing here? Go back home. Ganju played it off harmlessly. It's just that I haven't seen you in a while, so I came by, but you're kicking me out already? You're scaring the guests too, don't be so impolite. That's because of you. The elder snapped back. Ganju looked around and took notice of everyone in the room before his gaze stuck on Ichigo, who was looking at him warily. What? What's wrong? What are you staring at? Ganju took his goggles off to properly survey what he was seeing. What's a punk-ass Shinigami doing here? He got in Ichigo's face and started patting his cheek in a spiteful manner. I asked you a question. What's a punk-ass Shinigami like you doing in a place like this? He finished, pulling on Ichigo's face. Ichigo, of course, had enough and decked Ganju in the face, sending him flying across the room. Why the hell did you punch me, dandelion head? Are you trying to pick a fight? Ganju yelled as he got back up. That's my line, you pig-riding barbarian. Ichigo snapped back at Ganju, his patience long since faded. Who the hell do you think you are suddenly barging in here like that? Oriheim stood off to the side having a mini freak out. Oh no, they're going to fight. What should I do? I have to stop them. Ah, let them fight, Oriheim. Naruto said from nearby, it's the fastest way that men get over being angry. That, and I haven't seen anyone else have a good fight in forever. The elder let out a desperate sigh. It's just as I thought. What do you mean, just as you thought? Yuryu asked the old man, not getting what Ganju's problem was. Who is this guy supposed to be, Elder Dano? Ganju scoffed. You don't know who I am? You sure are an ignorant Shinigami. A smirk came to his face. Alright, I'll tell you then. He pointed his thumbs at himself. My name is Ganju. Self-declared Crimson Bullet of West Rukongai, self-declared #1 man that is the boss of West Rukongai for 14 years, and also the #1 Shinigami hater in West Rukongai. With that, he tackled Ichigo hard outside into the streets. Yuryu and Oriheim moved to back Ichigo up when a group of 4 men stood in the path of the door. Don't interfere when our boss is teaching someone a lesson. If you really want to get involved, you have to go through us first. Yuryu grit his teeth. So you're just underlings of that Ganju guy. Oriheim noticed something else. They're all riding on boars. Chad moved to the door. You said we had to fight you to get past. What about him? He pointed behind them where Naruto was sitting on the ground gleefully watching Ichigo and Ganju about to get into it. You'd better leave this place. Ganju shouted at a downed Ichigo. As long as I live, I'm not letting a Shinigami reside in this district. His reply from Ichigo was a straw sandal to the face in the form of a kick that sent him flying backwards. Holy shit! Naruto cried excitedly, in the face. In the face. The underlings of Ganju cried their leader's name in worry after Ichigo's attack. That's enough out of you. Ichigo said, getting up properly off of the ground. You didn't even hear me out, you just go around hitting people. Even if you really wanted to fight me, you're not good enough to be my opponent. Naruto nodded sagely from his spot on the street. That's the exact reason why I don't feel like fighting you, Ichigo. Well said. Ichigo turned to Naruto with a twitching eyebrow. I don't really need you interjecting here. Ganju stood back up holding his nose where Ichigo had hit him. That's twice now. Twice that you've punched my handsome face. I kicked you the second time, idiot. Ichigo said right back to him. Naruto grinned. Maybe he implied it as you punching his face in with your foot? That's enough, Ichigo. Yuruchi said as she walked outside, don't waste your energy on a meaningless fight. She stopped next to Naruto when Ichigo didn't back down, honestly, getting angry over a tiny situation like this, stupid kid. Naruto cast an innocent look over at her. Well, you could always transform and stop him yourself. He suggested with a stupid look crossing his face after finishing his sentence. Yuruchi rolled her eyes. I'm fast enough that the only person here that might be able to see me would be you. Maybe you, so you wouldn't get anything out of it. Ganju stared at Ichigo intently. If you aren't going to leave Shinigami, then it seems that you and I are simply destined to fight. He said as he drew a small cleaver-looking weapon from his back. Ganju, stop it. The elder tried reasoning. He is not a bad Shinigami. Shut up. He snapped back at the old man. You should know very well that a Shinigami is a Shinigami. There are no good ones or bad ones. He started running at Ichigo. Here I come, Shinigami. Yuryu saw this as a potentially bad situation. Damn, Kurosaki didn't bring his Zanpakuto. Naruto watched Ganju start to charge and remarked to Yuruchi, should I throw him a kunai and see if he sinks or swims with it? Yuruchi face-faulted in cat form next to him. Chad then ran from inside the house and tossed Ichigo his wrapped-up Zangetsu that Ichigo caught and immediately unfurled. Thanks, Chad. Boo, Chad. Naruto said, outside interference is strictly forbidden. Naruto said before Yuruchi slashed him hard across the face with her claws. Fuck. Why does that hurt so much? Yuruchi blew on her claws. That's what you get for being a dumbass. Ganju still came forward with his attack, forcing Ichigo to block a horizontal slash by stabbing his sword into the ground to cover the side of his body. Don't think that with a larger blade you'll be able to beat me. Ganju made a circular motion with his front leg and stomped on the ground before making a gesture with his free arm. Sink down. The ground softened to the extent that Ichigo's sword was caught in it. What's going on? Ichigo wondered as his sword suddenly began sinking into the ground. It's like quicksand. While he was worried about his sword, Ganju jumped and kicked him in the side of the head, sending him rolling down the street. What was that weird trick? Ganju stepped in front of Ichigo, who had made it back to his knees, and kicked him in the chest. However, Ichigo caught his foot and punched him in the face, dropping him to the ground. I don't need Zangetsu to beat you. I was stronger than one of the toughest girls in Japan before middle school in karate. Ganju got up and attempted an overhead chop with his weapon that Ichigo stopped by catching his arm at the wrist and disarming him before punching him in the face again. The punch sent Ganju stumbling back, but had Ichigo shaking out his hand, that didn't knock him out? I just hit him as hard as I could, tough guy. Naruto chuckled at Ichigo's disbelief as the scratch marks on his face vanished. It's probably your hands. You've got them baby hands. Ganju wiped the blood away from his face. Punk. No. One of Ganju's underlings shouted, Boss, bad news. He turned around to reveal a clock on his back that read 9 p.m. It's not good, boss. It's already 9 o'clock. Shit, 9 o'clock. Ganju said rather fearfully before letting out a whistle. Come here, Bonnie-chan. Bonnie-chan? Ichigo wondered to himself, before Ganju's large boar jumped over his head and slammed into Ganju before the man climbed atop the animal. Wait, you're leaving? Don't run away. I never said I was running away, Dandelion Head. I just have somewhere to be, so wait here until I come back. Ganju shouted as he began riding off with his friends. Come on, you idiots. Why didn't you warn me sooner? Ichigo stared at Ganju angrily, unable to conjure words to express how pissed he was. While Ganju began to disappear into the distance as Yuryu walked over and put a hand on his shoulder. Let it go, Kurosaki. I'm speechless too. XXX. The next day. You didn't have to scratch me, Yuruchi. Ichigo muttered, rubbing the wound that ran horizontal across his face. The group of rescuers were walking along the outskirts of the village towards a destination Yoruichi wasn't divulging at the moment. Are really supposed to be going out here? We're really far away from the town. Yuryu had dealt with Ichigo's complaining since that had set out this morning. Shut up, damn. According to the map the elder gave us, it's around here someplace. If you don't like it then you take the lead. Orihime decided to throw her own thought in, but since that Kakaku guy is the only one that knows how to enter Sereitei without going through the main door, why not live in the village with the others and be praised for it? That's a good point. Yuryu admitted. No it isn't. Naruto replied in a bored and obvious fashion, why would you live right next to the place that you know how to get into illegally, especially when that place is teeming with soldiers that can come and find you while you're being praised for that kind of thing? The Sereitei has a big-ass gate surrounding it and 4 gigantic guards that kill anyone that gets close. Clearly tourism isn't very high on their list of priorities. That's not it either, Naruto. Yoruichi replied in a dry tone, with Kakaku's personality he would probably like this kind of place better than in the village. Fewer people and it's quieter out here. Naruto walked with a dejected cloud over his head for being caught overthinking something. It's alright though. Even though the address keeps on changing, the houses themselves always have the same theme. I can tell with one look. The cat perked up suddenly. Ah, I can see it, it's over there. Yuryu and Ichigo looked at the house in shock. This is awesome. Naruto yelled as he took note of the house. It was a quaint-looking place with a weird giant tube thing in the backyard and a pair of massive stone arms holding up a banner specifying who lived here. Yoruichi seemed rather pleased at the appearance of the house. See? You can tell in one glance, right? Naruto nodded fervently. I've got to meet the person that set all of this up and shake their hand. This is fantastic, he said before running up to the door before a voice stopped him. Hold on. 2 large, similar-looking men jumped from the backside of the roof and landed in front of Naruto and the others, a bunch of weird-looking people, and one of them is a Shinigami. We can't let suspicious people like you lurk about. Get out, the other man said, or you will die here. Naruto sighed and started cracking his knuckles. Does anyone mind if I take this one? All of this walking has left me really bored. Yoruichi hopped on his shoulder, keeping him from moving to take any action. Yoruichi Dano? One of the large men stated in realization. Naruto looked at the cat on his shoulder oddly. Even as just a cat, apparently you've got stroke in the Soul Society, huh? XXX. The 2 large men led them inside down a large staircase to a lower level. Please forgive us. We didn't think Yoruichi Dano would travel with such rabble. It's okay, Yoruichi said cheerfully as she descended the stairs leading the other visitors along. I didn't notice you guys at first either, so it's my fault too. Please wait here for a moment, one of the large men said as he walked towards a sliding door. That doesn't explain why I'm still here working, you bastard. Ichigo snapped at him before flinching when Naruto threatened swinging the kendo stick again. Naruto continued his reasoning. You see, the lives of me and everyone around me never really banked on my shoddy control, so I had time to neglect it and work on it over time, of which now I have adequate control. You do not have nearly enough time to get good control, so we're going to patch you up like a leaky ship to get you to the next dock by making you as tired as fucking possible so that you have less overall energy to control. Yuryu stood at the doorway of the room looking at Naruto strangely until he finished his rant, allowing him to speak. Yoruichi is waiting at the surface on you two to get up there. Naruto grabbed Ichigo by his collar and dragged him up there. This is going to have to do for now, I guess. Come on kid, let's roll. XXX. Hey, where's Ganju? Ichigo asked as he saw everyone up around the fireworks launcher except him. Wait. Ganju yelled before turning a corner around the house. The heroes always arrive a little bit later, he said with a thumbs up. Kakaku shook her head while Naruto frowned. You totally butchered that quote and that gesture from the book I just released up here. Ika Ika Kaihusha, Liberator. The mighty hero rushes in to assist his allies right before their inevitable deaths before the big climaxing fight scene on the bridge and says that exact quote. Chapter 16, page 211. It's supposed to go, the hero always arrives at the very last second. He then noticed Kakaku and Ganju both giving him odd looks. You wrote that? They both shouted in disbelief and wonder. You're that Naruto? Uzumaki Naruto? Naruto grinned. Yep. I was broke, so I decided to re-release my first volume of my own Ikiaika works up here. It totally spread like a brush fire. I'm the best writer alive or dead. Literally. How long were you here before we showed up? Yuruchi shouted at Naruto, finally having had enough of not knowing. However, she was ignored as Naruto signed copies of his book that Kokaku and Ganju somehow immediately produced. Ichigo got everyone's attention. What are you dressed up looking ready to fight for? Aren't you just here to bid us farewell? Ganju got in Ichigo's face and grabbed his collar. My brother was killed by a Shinigami in cold blood. Kokaku's mood at meeting Naruto vanished when Ganju started speaking. Ganju, shut up. Don't dash. Don't interrupt me, sis, just listen. Ganju's tone actually shocked her into silence, allowing him to continue. My brother was a genius. He passed the Shinigami entrance exam on his first try. His energy was on par with a lieutenant of the 13th Division. He finished the academy curriculum of 6 years in just 2, and 5 years after that he became a lieutenant himself. But then he was betrayed and killed by his Shinigami partner. Ichigo stayed silent and let him continue. I was young and didn't know everything about it, but I will always remember 2 things. The cold eyes of the Shinigami that brought my brother's body back, and the smiling face I saw when my brother thanked that Shinigami. I never understood why, but not once did my brother ever speak out in hatred against the Shinigami. I want to know the reason why he never hated them, why he believed in them even in death. He jerked Ichigo's collar. You aren't the same as other Shinigami. If I go with you I'll find out why, so I'll be lending a hand on this one and I'll see with my own eyes what Shinigami are like. Kokaku stared at her brother in disbelief as no one had anything to say to Ganju. Well, I guess you've made up your mind. Just don't run away mid-fight, you brat. If you're serious about this, give it everything you've got. Ganju nodded in determination until Ichigo broke his grip and grabbed his collar in return. Watch my back. Ganju smirked. Scum. All right, let's do this, he said, breaking Ichigo's grip and walking towards the launcher. Ichigo looked down at Yuruchi and held out the orb in his hand. We all trained really hard to learn how to do this, as if our lives depended on it. I didn't. Naruto supplied helpfully. That was just you, Yuryu added. Ichigo continued speaking to Yuruchi, slightly perturbed at the others. Anyway, Yuruchi, can you do it? You don't have to worry about that, just put it on the ground, Yuruchi said, hopping on it once Ichigo did so, right before forming a perfect cannonball effortlessly. This is just as natural as breathing for me. Yuruchi let the barrier fall and noticed Ichigo pouting dejectedly. Are you disappointed? Do you feel even more inferior? You had to train all night and I could do it without barely even thinking about it. Stop picking on the kid, Yuruchi, Naruto said, picking up the orb and tossing it in his hand. Let's get going already before day fully breaks. I would like to get my bearings of the place in the dark where it's harder to see me. Kokaku opened a path into the launcher. Okay, everyone inside. It's time to begin. Everyone filed in, but Naruto was stopped by Kokaku. Not you. Naruto blinked at her in confusion. Yes? Can I help you? Please say yes, and please have it be something fun. Kokaku held her hand out expectantly. You know I can't do that. It would be favoritism. Her face didn't change expression. It's not even supposed to be out this year. I'm supposed to wait until like next year before I start releasing more to build up a demand. Don't you know anything about economics? Kokaku grinned at him. Well, if you don't want to, I guess you can find another way into the Sereitei. Naruto gave her a deadpan look and pulled a book from the inside of his jacket. Everybody I owe favors to like this gets one. This is your one. I don't want to hear anything later when I release more books because this was your freebie. Kokaku snatched it away from him happily and moved aside. Come and see me when you're done in there if you survive, and we'll see if I can't change that tune, she said sultrily before turning more serious. Take care of my kid brother. Naruto stepped inside and gave her a salute. Oi, who do you think you're talking to here? Everyone's coming back and that's the promise of a lifetime. He started posing grandly, because I am the dash. Kokaku cut him off by closing the launcher. Oh come on. I've got to get to say it at least once. Once everyone was inside around the orb, Yuruchi briefed them. Once we get inside, don't wander off by yourselves. If you encounter a captain-class enemy, run. Our objective is to capture Rukia. Take no unnecessary risks. Naruto shook his head. If I'm caught, I'm not running. My objective is to keep you all on your objective, and that means I'm going to be playing decoy. He replied gleefully. They're going to be running around like roaches in there. And in the middle of something like this, nothing makes it easier for a small group of people to move about inside of a stronghold than misdirection, complete mayhem, and anarchy. Hence, that will be my job. Yuruchi looked at Naruto chidingly. Listen Naruto, once we get there you dashed. She heard Kakaku begin her incantation outside. Damn it, it's begun. Focus your energy. XXX. Sereitei. We didn't find anything Zaraki Taishu. A Shinigami reported. Damn it. A rather large man with scars all along his body, an eye patch on his face, and his hair tied up in a unique spiky style with bells at the end shouted, a little girl with pink hair on his back. We searched all damn night and nothing. He looked up at the sky once a loud noise echoed out. Wait, what's that? It then broke apart in the sky. Damn. It separated. Now which one is the strongest? XXX. Aizen Taishu, it hit the barrier and stopped. A Shinigami shouted in shock. A man with brown hair and glasses looked up in surprise. It hit the barrier and didn't vanish. That means that the concentration of power is extremely high. The cannonball in the sky then burst into 4 different directions, and so it begins. XXX. With Naruto. It landed over here. You can see the smoke and everything. A Shinigami amid a group of them shouted as they made their way towards where Naruto crash landed. They ran in abruptly, each with a Zanpakuto all drawn. Find the Ryoka. He's not here. The smoke cleared to reveal nothing but the amassed group of Shinigami. Wait, I felt something run past me in the cloud of smoke. A blonde Shinigami with spiky hair said as he pointed. It went that way. He yelled, grabbing a hold of his Zanpakuto in its sheath as he prepared to run. That way? Get him. Don't let the intruder escape. The blonde Shinigami was quickly passed by all of the others as he allowed himself to lag behind until they were out of sight. Once they were gone he smirked to himself, suckers, Kai. In a puff of smoke, the Shinigami was gone, in his place was Naruto, and the Zanpakuto that was around his waist transformed into Yoruchi gripping tightly to the waist of his clothing, and that's how you do that. And you were all like, get ready to fight when we land. Work smarter Yoruchi-chan, not harder. Yoruchi detached herself from Naruto's hip and dropped onto the ground. Well, it looks like going by myself wouldn't have been a better strategy after all. So what's your plan to divert attention? Naruto grinned at her. Well, I'm sure that the most that Ichigo and the others are going to do will be to head towards wherever Rukia is, maybe fight a little bit, but not anything more than that. I need to keep as far away from there as possible and stir up interest elsewhere. Where would Rukia be so that I know where not to go? The center of the Sereitei. She will be in the Senzakyu, Palace of Remorseful Sin, where they hold prisoners to be executed soon. Yoruchi said, we should get out of the open. Well then I need to find a place to begin running amok. Naruto replied positively, any ideas? Yoruchi gave him a huge grin, actually I do. How much trouble do you feel like risking getting in? Naruto returned her grin, you have absolutely no idea who you're dealing with, do you? I'm a patron deity for mischief and debauchery in the realm of the living. Just point me in a direction and give me some instruction. As a matter of fact, Taiju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, multiple shadow clone jutsu. 50 Naruto replicas appeared in a puff of smoke. Go find out where stuff is, go do stuff to it, and don't get caught. And stay away from the 2nd Division barracks when you find out where it is. Yoruchi shouted at the clones before they could go off and do their own thing, I want to hit that place on my own. The clones all saluted Yoruchi and the original Naruto before going off in their own random directions. Are you sure you should have given them such vague instructions? Naruto shrugged and jumped onto a nearby high wall. Who cares? I mean, even if they get caught they can just dispel and that will be that. The less detailed the instructions the more chaotic this whole thing will be. Now let's go have some fun while the others struggle for their lives. Lead the way Yoruchi-chan. Yoruchi pointed in the direction she wanted him to go off in and held on as he proceeded to disappear in a shunshin. XXX. A few hours later. Yoruchi was on Naruto's shoulder as he quietly traversed the outside grounds of a particular set of barracks. Are you sure you're up for this? I can get in on my own and do this. I used to run this place and could do it on my own. Naruto looked at the cat and back to the place he was sneaking around. Do you really want to transform just to set up pranks and run around naked when I could do it for you? I have clothes. Yoruchi huffed indignantly, and this division is directly connected to the Onmitsukudo, stealth force, especially tailored with stealth skills that the others don't possess in order to complete specialized missions. Guard duty of high-profile prisoners, assassinations, things like that. So you're saying that they're more or less the ninja force of the Sereitei? Naruto ventured as a guess. Yoruchi nodded, yes, you could say that for more than a good number of them. She noticed a gleam in Naruto's eyes that he couldn't hide. What do you plan on doing? Naruto let out a quiet laugh. I can't remember the last time I had to go toe-to-toe with a ninja of any kind. You definitely can't talk me out of this now, Yoruchi-chan, I'm in this for sure. Feeling the impulse to scratch Naruto's face rising inside of her for being stupid again, Yoruchi decided to question his sanity. What do you think you can do against an entire squadron of them? Naruto's mirth never faded. When I was 12 I painted the entire mountainside monument of the most powerful village of ninja in the entire world in broad daylight wearing bright orange, and I got away with it. And I wouldn't even consider my old self gum on my current self's shoe back then. Yoruchi stared at him in silence for a moment. Do you think you could do something like that again? Naruto grinned at her and scratched her behind the ears. Oh, I'm probably all over that as we speak. XXX. With Naruto's clones, outside 1st Division headquarters. As he stood on a high wall overlooking the area, a lone tear came to the eye of one of Naruto's Kage Bunshin as he stared up at a perfectly pristine white building with only the division insignia on any wall whatsoever. It's so beautiful. It's absolutely perfect. It's so perfect. The several clones alongside him all unsealed buckets of paint and brushes, and we are going to absolutely fuck this place up. One of the other clones came up to the leader clone. So how are we going to handle this, Fukutechu? We can either do it the long and hard way. Artistic, but we might get stopped halfway through. Then again there's the fast way. It might not be as cool as the other way, but the chances of collateral damage are incredibly good and high, which would be hilarious and would definitely piss people off. The clone stroked its chin. Well, we're supposed to be doing this quickly, so do it the fast way. It should still be good. So go ahead and sneak into position. The clones saluted him and picked up their equipment before taking off around the area. XXX. 9th Division Headquarters, Editing Department of the Sereitei Communication Magazine. Oh man. A clone sitting at a desk, typing rapidly said with a grin on his face, who the hell runs this place? We might as well have walked right in through the front door for all the defenses this place had. Another clone stood off to the side, taking pictures of another clone who stood in front of a white screen. Well, they think that there are only a few of us. They don't know that boss can make an entire army of us if he wanted to. Now keep writing our profile page. We're letting the whole Sereitei know who we are with a special issue of their magazine. They're all out chasing Ichigo and the others. A clone that was reading over another's work said, they're going to try and cut them off and trap them with numbers since they have a general idea of where they are. And that is nowhere near here. Hopefully when we're done here we can divert some of the heat off of them, in a full, glossy, 42-page spread chronicling the greatness of Uzumaki Naruto. He handed the work back to another clone. Go over it and add more flashy adjectives and titles to describe us. Fukutechu, what do we call the issue of the magazine? The leader clone grinned. Special issue, the introduction of Uzumaki Naruto. The immortal sage cometh. XXX. Kuchiki Family Manor. A Naruto clone stood in the middle of a serene garden sitting by a koi pond with his eyes closed and a smile on his face. He let out a deep sigh. I like this garden, it's peaceful. A clone came up to the leader clone. Yes? Fukutechu, our brothers are in position in the laundry room with the orange dye and they found the Byakuya guy's room. Orders? The clone asked. The leader clone put out his hand with a thumbs down. Do it. I can smell the noble just wafting off of this place. XXX. With Naruto and Yoruchi, 2nd Division Headquarters. Naruto quietly slipped inside of an office with his shoes off and Yoruchi on his shoulder before silently shutting the door. This place has heated floors and automatic doors. Who the fuck paid for all of this? Naruto whispered to Yoruchi in amazement. I kind of don't want to mess this place up. Yoruchi hopped off of Naruto's shoulder and started walking around the office. Did you see that hot spring too? This place sure has been renovated since I was here. She hopped into a chair at a desk. My little Soifon has done so well since I left. Soifon? Naruto said as he walked through the room over to Yoruchi. Who's that? Yoruchi smirked at Naruto. Well, she's my old bodyguard, protege, etc. She's also the captain of this squad. She should be almost as fast as me seeing as how I trained her. So she's faster than me too? Yoruchi nodded, getting Naruto to look dejected. Well, at least I'm still the fastest man alive. You Shinigami are making me have to step it up. I used to think I was bulletproof. He made it over to the desk. Oh well. I'm still immortal, I have all the time in the world to get faster. So what are we here for? How are we pranking her? Yoruchi's eyes took on a saddened tint. I don't want to prank her. I feel terrible for leaving her behind when I left the Soul Society 100 years ago, but I knew she would be just fine without me. Kisuke needed my help. Naruto rubbed her back consolingly. She'd understand, wouldn't she? Yuruchi shook her head. I'm all she had. Her entire world was based around me. I'm Sora Yoruichi. Naruto said, taking a seat on the desk, letting the cat hop into his lap. I know something that will cheer you up though. A grin slowly formed on his face. We could have sex on your old subordinate's desk, huh? Would you like that? Having sex on your underling's desk? Yuruchi slashed him across the face with her claws. Gah. So angry. Why does that hurt so bad? Yuruchi walked over to the window of the office and jumped on the sill. You're a total pervert. She sighed when she heard him say, so, and you haven't earned the privilege yet. She heard quiet, rapid footsteps from down the hall. Naruto, get up, we have to go. Gah. What do you have on your claws? That shouldn't hurt this much. Okay. Yuruchi said, good luck Naruto. If you don't die or wind up captured, come and find me, okay? I can't be discovered yet. She said before jumping out of the window. The door to Soifon's office burst in as a bunch Shinigami dressed in traditional ninja outfits rushed inside. Naruto stopped staggering around the room and fretting over the deep scratches on his face and noticed them creeping towards him slowly in Hakuta stances. Naruto blinked and looked at the window where Yuruchi was no longer present. Oh Yuruchi, you suck so hard, I am going to kick your cute little ass when I find you again, after I get out of this. He gave a bright grin. Hello everybody. I know it doesn't look like it, but I'm a ninja too. So there's no need for us to fight, right? When they didn't stop moving, his smile dropped and a cold facade found its way to his face. Didn't think that would work. As the group attacked, Naruto dodged their first move and escaped to the hallway, where after running for a short while he turned around to face them. Just as he had expected, he managed to get them coming at him in a single file line. Naruto clapped his hands together and held them before opening his mouth. Futon, Daitapa, wind release, great breakthrough. Naruto released a powerful wind that blew through the hall, sending the attackers flying backwards against the far wall. Naruto continued to run away. No need for me to get into an open fight with these guys. However, he didn't have an option in the matter when he found himself dodging the swipe of a Zanpakuto from a Shinigami from an open doorway. A second swipe was blocked by a kunai that Naruto neatly deposited into his hand from his sleeve. Well, I am inside of their HQ. Naruto used his free hand to grab the Shinigami by the throat and push him against the wall, where he let go and punched him in the face 3 times hard enough to smash his head into the wall and crack it, knocking him out. Naruto turned around to find that he was still being pursued by even more of the Onmitsukudo. To hell with this. Naruto formed an orb of energy in his palm and jumped up towards the ceiling. Rasengan, spiraling sphere. Naruto smashed through towards the outside, where he began running on the rooftop. The Ryoka has escaped. Don't let him out of the division grounds. A series of Shinigami appeared in front of and behind Naruto using Shuinpa with their blades drawn, surrounding him. Naruto shut his eyes and reopened them, revealing the Rinnegan. You guys are slew. He said, provoking them to attack. Shinra Tensei, heavenly subjugation of the omnipresent god. An orb of gravitational force pushed away all of the attackers violently, sending them flying all about. Naruto let the bodies drop all around him harmlessly and deactivated his Rinnegan before rubbing his eyes harshly. Ugh, still hurts. He said before disappearing in a burst of speed. XXX. Soifon, a petite woman, short black hair with 2 long braids down her back ending in golden rings. She had a common Shinigami's uniform on as well as a captain's Haori and had a stern look on her face. Her lieutenant, a plump man twice her height and 4 times her size who had black hair in a noble-looking hairstyle, walked next to her. The two wandered through the HQ as panic was evident with all of the other Shinigami scrambling about. Soifon looked around. Omida, what's going on here? I don't know, Taicho. He said before singling out a Shinigami. What's happened here? He stopped and saluted Soifon and Omida. Taicho, Fukutechu, one of the Ryoka, came here and defeated a number of our troops. He had blonde hair, a red jacket, and fought very well using Hakuta and a strange kind of Kidu. Casualties? Soifon said, wanting to get all of the information she could. We have around 43 injured, none dead. He simply defeated his attackers and left. Soifon narrowed her eyes and turned to leave the base, Omida following behind. Taicho, what are we going to do now? He asked. You will stay here and mobilize our forces to begin properly searching for the offending Ryoka. I will be hunting for this particular one. She said, as Omida stopped to follow through with her orders. I will not let this humiliation of both the second squad and the Onmitsukudo stand. She said, holding back her anger behind a mask of coldness. Omake, Naruto alone in the Rukongai, day 1 of 46. Naruto picked himself up off of the ground and dusted himself off. What the hell exploded in that tunnel? He asked, getting no response. He looked around. Oi. Yuruchi. Ichigo. Mr. Specs. Big Chad. Cute bubbly girl. Where the hell are you guys? He looked around once more, scratching his head. Damn, did we get split up? I could have sworn they were right behind me. Well, look at what we have here, boys. Naruto turned around to see a group of thugs smirking at him and walking his way. He looks like a new soul, and a pretty boy at that. Those clothes sure look expensive. Another man said, why don't you hand them over? Naruto gave them a dry look. I would, but I don't think you want to lose your girlfriend over what I've got going on underneath. Now if you could help me out, where the hell am I? A series of laughs went up. Unfortunately for you, new guy, you're in the worst damn place in East Rukongai. District 80, Jigakadari, Hell's Row. Now if you give me everything including the clothes on your back, I'll let you live and maybe let you into my gang as one of my foot soldiers. Naruto stroked his chin in faux thought before pointing at the man. Or instead of that, how about I give you nothing and you tell me what I want to know about this place so that I can move around? Now I know it sounds like the raw end of the deal, but hear me out. You can try to get the results of your offer, but that won't end well for you, and I'm still going to get everything out of my offer. You'll just be in a lot more pain afterwards. Savvy? Get him. Skin that punk alive. Naruto let out a sigh and cracked his knuckles as the men started walking towards him, drawing their weapons. Your choice. XXX. 3 minutes later. Amid a hodgepodge of beaten-up bodies, some groaning in pain, and most others unconscious, Naruto was crouched down over a stick drawing in the dirt that signified a rough map of the Soul Society. I see. So this is the worst district, and in order to get to a gate, no matter what direction I go in, I still have to go through 79 more, each like a town with borders and limits. That's going to be a long run. The man that had initiated the attack against him was on the ground with multiple bumps and bruises on his face as well as his arm held behind his back in a most painful manner. Yeah. For most people that walk would take a month. A month? Naruto cried with anime tears going down his face. You've got to be kidding me. Where are the others that came with me? This sucks. He abruptly stopped and stood up. Well then I guess I'll just have to get to a gate and wait for them. It's all I can do, because if what you're saying is true, this place is fucking huge. I'm telling you the truth, I swear. The man pleaded, just let me go. Please. Naruto stared at him for a second before letting go of his arm and getting up. Get out of here, and watch who you pick fights with. You never know who might be the strongest person around. The man nodded rapidly and turned to run before Naruto's voice stopped him again. Hey. You ever heard of any people from a place called Konohagakure no Sato? It's a place in the world of the living. And no. The man shook his head in fear of Naruto. Are you going to kill me for not knowing? Naruto again shook his head and gestured for him to shoo. The man did so without a second thought. Naruto turned towards the west and started stretching. Okay. I wonder how fast anyone has ever tried going to get there. I guess I'll find out for myself. Maybe if Yuruchi ended up this far away too, I can beat her there if she's still a cat. He bounced on his toes a few times before taking off in a dead sprint down the street, kicking up wind and disappearing in a blur before anyone could see him.